Heed well, listeners, for this world is darkness and pain. From the ice-capped mountains of Jotunheim to the untamed steppes in all their wild splendor. From shrouded Ophir, where dark creatures perform darker rites, to civilized lands like Argus and Zamar, where humans seek diversions, while their petty rulers wage endless war upon one another. The Stygian blackness of night encroaches from all sides, but some there are who stand against it. For revenge, for power, for bloodlust, or for principle. They bring their steel against this world. Throk of the wild barbarians, Arven of the Shadar Kai, Daro the Faceless One, and Raylan, the Promised One, Herald of Zalios. Against all they survey, these four will prevail. Or they will perish.
Hello, and welcome to Shadows of Archonia, our weekly 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons live stream game. My name is Steve Boshear, and I will be your Dungeon Master for the evening.
And I'm Joshua, and I'll be playing Throk, the Urban Stormherald Barbarian / Champion Fighter.
For the evening.
For the evening. And I'm Alan. I'll be playing Zaylin. So this is a lot easier to say without saying so many names. Azamar Death Touch Sorcerer / Warlock.
Yes, Celestial Warlock.
I am Carolynn. I'm playing Avin, the Shadar-Kai Circle of Twilight Druid, for the evening.
Just for the evening.
Right.
Just for the evening.
You guys have a really glum outlook, you know that?
You never know, you know?
Yep.
There might be a party
when you're tired.
I'm Matt, and I'm playing Daro, the Changeling Shadow Rogue Vengeance Paladin.
All right.
Yeah. And
yeah.
So if you know D&D, but you didn't recognize all of those races and subclasses, then you should know in this game we make heavy use of the Dark Arts Player's Companion, a third-party 5th edition supplement created by Gimenez 3000, printed and sent to us by one of our wonderful Discordians. Discordians? Is that I don't, whatever, doesn't matter.
Pretty boy,
it's
a.k.a. Cody Mao.
Yeah. It's a great free supplement that's available online, containing new character races, new subclasses for every class in the game, new spells, including a new spell casting mechanic called Hemomancy, and even new monsters to throw at your players if you hate them. All has a dark and evil bent to it. The creator, Gimenez 3000, has got a Patreon that you should check it out, because he releases other homebrew stuff, as well as this amazing book.
I would like to make one point about throwing the monsters at your players if you hate them. I have only thrown one monster at you guys out of that book, and it is Ghost.
Oh. Okay.
We love Ghost.
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes you can use them if you love your players.
You can.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know your players will appreciate them.
Unless Ghost is going to turn on us and kill us in our sleep, which is possible. I mean, who knows? Archonia.
Please don't wish that on us. That's my baby.
Is he?
Yes. He is. Actually.
It's your line,
All right,
Alan.
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like right when I was about to read it, my browser crashed.
Oh,
Jeez.
So it's gonna be one of those nights, folks.
Okay,
Haven't
I'll do
sold
it.
out
If you
yet.
saw our
So-
intro animation at the beginning, you heard some music by J-Man at the YouTube channel OurMusicBox. J-Man has posted and continues to post thousands of free music tracks that are available for you to use in your own creative works. I'm not used to saying Alan's lines.
Sorry.
For the price of simply crediting him. He does have a Patreon for those who wish to support him on a voluntary basis. And if you value being able to use copyright-free music in your projects, you should go donate.
Sorry about that. I should have had that memorized, but I don't.
Yeah, whatever.
The voice you heard in the intro was Alexander George M.S., the man, the myth, and the legend, mainly because we don't actually know if he really exists.
Someone's voice is there.
Someone's voice is there.
All of the digital artwork in the intro is by myself. I can be found on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram as Mighty Works Character Portraits, or on ArtStation under my actual name, Steve Boshear. I do take commissions. My cat does not. So if you'd like your own character or party rendered in my style, reach out and let's talk. Don't hit up the cat. He's not very good at the artwork.
You don't know that.
I do, actually.
It's been confirmed.
Wow. I feel sorry for that cat. None of his artwork's on the fridge or anything.
No.
What's the cat's name?
That one, Dr. Midnight.
Gotcha.
We love Doc.
We do.
And if you love us and our stream, segue! And want to hang out with us more, you should come join our Discord. If you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, you should see the description below the video down there somewhere. Click on it, join.
Matt,
Love
point
us.
down. You're the bottom.
Yeah,
Point down. Yeah, down there.
there you go. Down there. Love us, please.
And you can talk to our fantastic friends like Cody Mao, who sent us that printout, and Canuck, who guest starred on an episode.
Well, so did Cody.
Well, yeah, but Canuck didn't send it. I wanted to make them different.
Oh, okay. Also, you can find out what Daro is doing when he doesn't show up for our streams.
That's true. You
Yeah.
may notice if you only watch the videos that Daro was absent the past 2 episodes. That happens sometimes because of Matt's job. But when it does happen, we do little side quests to explain Daro's absence, and those are done via text in the Discord on the Daro's Daring Deeds channel. So the Discord is free. You don't have to be a patron or anything to come to it. Just come join us and hang out.
Speaking of hanging out, segue to
Copycat.
we have a YouTube channel where we've recorded all of our previous sessions, including the ones when we used to meet up in IRL and see Steve's amazing figures and layouts. Seriously, go watch that stuff because I miss it so much, and I can't wait to see it again in real life.
Our hearts are breaking
But,
over here, man.
But yeah, follow that YouTube channel, and we're here every Friday at 8:30 Pacific time at Shadows of Archonia on Twitch.
All right.
Most Fridays.
Well, shout out to Joker's Chosen for the beard comments. I appreciate that very much. Also,
What?
shout out to Canuck and Cody Mao and Yeti Hill and everyone else who's in the chat right now. I think that's everyone who's spoken so far, except for Carolynn. But yeah, we appreciate you guys showing up almost every week and cheering us on. What? Oh, come on. We're on in the middle of the night for most of these people. All right. Well, last week on Shadows of Archonia, our 3 Daro-less heroes. Oh wait, you know what? Let me get you a little. Let me get you a little tag there. Bam. Oh, it's wrong. It's wrong. You're Rogue 6 now. Anyway, last week on Shadows of Archonia, our three Daro-less heroes, met a gnome, fought a dragon, and got captured by pixies. So that was fun.
Did we get
Did we
captured?
get? Yeah. I don't think we got
Well,
captured,
I
per
mean,
se.
you're surrounded by many thousands of them, so whether or not you're captured is kind of up to them.
I mean, what are they gonna do? Poke us with little needles? Like,
Well, I mean, they did cast a spell that didn't work. You guys are too powerful. You guys are too powerful.
Well, Throck fell asleep.
it's the best thing that they could have done for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, Yeti. Throck did fight the dragon, and then ran away, or was run away, more like.
Throck ran away.
No, I mean he was
Yeah.
unconscious at the time.
Oh,
We dragged him away.
yeah. That's not how I remember it.
I'm sure it isn't.
We fought the dragon. Dragon was gone.
We are actually going to open with Daro. Hey, quick question, Alan. I know you often don't. Did you read the Daro's Daring Deeds channel?
No.
I didn't think so. Neither is Carolyn. I know Joshua did. So this is going to be news to you guys as well as to some of our
It's
viewers.
not like I don't want to read it. It's just part of my head canon is that I don't like knowing stuff my character doesn't know.
No, that's great. You can read it later.
Yeah.
So, Daro, you have read the book that was in front of you. You are now standing in this silent chamber. It is octagonally shaped with all of these elven runes carved on the walls. It's 100 feet across. It has 3 daises in the middle, which you have already examined. One of them holding a bright flame in a bowl that is lighting up the whole room. The other holding the book that you've just read, and the third holding a strange mechanical device with concentric rings orbiting each other in 3 dimensions. Because of the events that have transpired in the absence of your friends, you find yourself able to read the Elven language in which the book and the writing on the walls is written. This is an ability granted you by the new rune that has appeared on your Moonblade. You are still without your clothing, but you do have the sword and your shadow, who has rejoined himself to you. In addition to the 3 daises, the only other thing in the room is a giant stone pillar just behind the daises, which is shaped like a tree, and which has a small keyhole in it. Is there anything you would like to do at this time?
It's a lot. I definitely feel overwhelmed with the knowledge that I just received. Wish I had some companions here to share it with. But then I kind of get my bearings again, and I have some ideas about what I want to do. But first, I'm going to go examine that keyhole and try to see what kind of shape or what kind of key would fit inside of it. I don't have my thieves' tools on me, so I don't think I could pick it, right?
That's correct. Examining the keyhole.
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead and roll perception or investigation? Roll that.
Investigation. My not so good stat. 12.
Okay, so the thing that you took for a keyhole from a distance is a kind of an oblong, almost like an oval with pointed ends, top and bottom.
Okay.
It's a couple inches wide. are a couple inches tall, I should say, and it comes to not even half an inch wide.
Great. Does it look like the size of my blade?
If you turn your blade and look at it head on, yes, it does.
Great. Then I'm gonna kind of like look around a bit and, make sure that nothing's gonna fall on me, and take a breath and stick the blade in the hole.
We did establish that Zaro has some underwear, right?
No, you have said naked. I was picturing John Carter of Mars this whole time. I'm
Well,
like,
when you
naked.
guys first got captured, and they took your clothes, I was asked how naked, and I said, well, they wouldn't have taken your underwear. So it's up to you
okay.
whether you possess underwear.
Okay. Darrow wouldn't care either way, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time he got caught with his pants down.
Nope.
That's true. That if he hadn't been before, we wouldn't have gotten that awesome double crit on the insight check from Throg. Okay, so the sword does go in. Nothing happens. Except that you hear a voice from behind you.
Oh.
I don't think you're supposed to do that yet.
I turn around quickly and pull the sword out if I can.
It comes right out, yeah.
Yeah, and I pointed at the voice.
There's an old man standing there. Dressed like in workman's clothes, like a farmer or something. Apparently human and familiar. You realize that this is the man that you met on the road in Lethia, who referred to himself as Douglas, and who seemed obsessed with your sword. You may recall that you guys were all inside a big dome full of ravens at the time.
Yeah, he's the guy that like floats or like walks like he floats or something.
Until you pointed it out to him and it stopped happening when he looked down. Yeah. He's here.
What am I supposed to do then with the hole?
Well, what did the instructions say?
I don't recall. I'm gonna start flipping through the book.
He said he looks around almost like he's in awe, but he's also a little unnerved. He says,
How did you get here?
"Oh, sometimes I just am places. I've got to tell you the truth. I don't think I was ever supposed to be here. This is something very secret." You're flipping through the book again?
Yeah, I recall it saying the instructions for the orb thing, but I don't remember what it said, if anything, about the key.
All right. For the benefit of everyone, I'm going to read the whole passage that you read before.
Great.
In the book, you read the following. Welcome, stranger, to the last monument. Know that once upon the face of Archonia dwelt the elves, oldest of mortal beings, kin to both Fae and man. For eons beyond count, our people dwelt alongside the other goodly races, working with the Archons to found the empire that gave birth to 1,000,000 years of peace. But not all beings desire peace. Some desire absolute power, even at the cost of suffering. And so there came a day when war, that atrocity so long unknown upon the mortal world, descended instead upon the heavens. To conquer the heavens, one must slay the gods. And to slay the gods of good, one must deprive them of their followers. Our gods, the gods of the elves, were the eldest and most powerful among the righteous deities of the heavens. And so, to rob them of their strength, we were exterminated. You stand in the last monument, the holy sepulchre, the marker that we were once here. Upon these walls are the names of elves, dwarves, gnomes, and halflings, of Aarakocra, Aasimar, and Dragonborn, of orcs, goblins, kobolds, and grung, heroes beyond measure. For every name on these walls is a man or woman who died to make this place possible. Some in battle, some in their beds, some in the torture chambers of the enemy. Some brought supplies, some carried messages, some smuggled us out, some merely kept the secret. If indeed you stand here, then they succeeded. Not one of them let slip. We ended ourselves on our own terms. Know this, stranger. If you are an enemy of the elves, you will never leave here alive. But if you are a friend, and if you deem it time, and if the gnomes and dryads grant their leave, then understand that beneath your feet rest the last of the elves. Twice 100 of our brethren made it here. Twice 100 chose to end their own lives in this place rather than be found by the enemy. One by one we have gone, each one mummified by their kin. At last, I alone remain. I am Felibri 23 Leaves, chief cleric of the Temple of the Seldarine, and I am the last elf in existence. Momentarily, there shall be no more of us, and my dear friends the gnomes shall tend to my body as I tended to the others. But the gnomes have one thing the elves have long since lost: hope. The device upon the third dais is an invention of their king, and he has promised me that if it remains unmolested, it can store within it a single spell from now until the end of time. Into this device I have cast my most powerful spell of resurrection. With the aid of the gnomes and the permission of the dryads, both are sworn guardians, and with but a single drop of elven blood in your veins, you may trigger it. With our gods dead and the traitor Asmodeus in their place, I do not see how it will ever be safe to bring us back. But the dryads believe. The gnomes hope. I go now to my sleep. Goodbye.
That's a hell of a suicide note.
Yeah, right? I have so many questions. What do you know of this place?
I know it has something to do with your sword, which I saw before, and I feel like we've had some other conversation that I have forgotten. But I can't remember.
Would your name be on this wall?
No. No, it would not. I suspect I was never meant to see these walls. I suspect that me knowing of this place would have been dangerous for those who built it.
Are you an enemy of the elves?
The what?
Are you an enemy of the people who built this place?
He looks around at the names, and you can see that his eyes start to tear up. He says, No, I would never hurt them. Ever.
That's good.
He starts touching some of the names.
From what I gathered, it seems like this device was meant to bring my people, my ancestors back.
Did you read the book out loud just now to him?
No.
Okay.
I'm still at a loss as to why you're here.
he turns back to you and says, I felt very strongly compelled to speak to you and to tell you that I don't think it's time for that yet.
That was going to be my next question. Should I wait? Is it safe enough?
It may not ever be, but I heard long ago a saying. No plan survives contact with the enemy. If there is something that needs to be done, we may be running out of time to do it. But he comes over to the book and flips to the page and says, do you have the leave of those whom you were meant to ask leave of?
I'm not sure I understand the question, sorry.
He points into the book again, to the part where it says, with the aid of the gnomes and the permission of the dryads.
No, I don't believe I do yet. I mean, the dryads put me in here.
He turns and looks back towards the passage that you came in through and says, I suspect that the dryads have been waiting too long. Perhaps their faith has become too literally a faith. That they are the descendants of those who were once told to watch. I suspect they don't know what to make of you.
I don't know any gnomes.
What is a gnome?
I couldn't tell you.
I feel like I knew. All right, we're going to... Sorry, you may finish what you were going to say, and then we're going to leave you there.
I was just going to say, if it comes to you, please let me know. I think for now I need to get back to my friends.
Okay, and that's what we as a show are going to do. The rest of you are still in the jungle. You have just recently transported through the trees and come out of the giantest ash tree in the whole jungle to be surrounded by marginally hostile pixies. Their leader has informed you that Zaylin is Akun Ra, the greatest vortex of chaos energy that exists in the multiverse, and therefore will naturally attract important people and events to his location. And that as a consequence of this, not only has he brought the King of the and the potential future queen of the Shatterkai, but has also brought along the one person in existence who has a chance of bringing back the elves. She called them the Sleepers, which is the same thing the Dryads called them. So this is literally the last thing that happened, is that they said this to you. So what do you guys want to do next? Mary Sue.
Man. Man, I feel like if they said that to Zaylin, he's going to be like all like pompous about it. Be like, well, just you all being here means you're all going to be important too. He says that to all the pixies.
They all look around and they look impressed with each other and puff up their chests a little bit.
Brock is still a rabbit, right?
I think
Yep.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
One of them
Over it.
tried to kill him in rabbit form.
Yeah.
Well, again, Zaylen kind of like, yeah. So you're saying is that I'm important because I bring all these people together, all these different events, destiny, all that stuff. But I still need to go find my friend Darrow. Like he might be dead, for all I know. So I should go try to go find him. So we're probably gonna go back to where that dragon was. So if
They
you
all
go,
buzz when you say that. They're like, "Oh, do not seek out great Au.
why?
She is terrible and mighty.
She is mighty. Yeah.
She is the oldest being on the island. She cannot be harmed."
As in, she's not allowed to be harmed, or as in she physically cannot be harmed?
Well, she cannot be harmed seriously. We've all tried. We've lost many a pixie and pirate and gnome and dryad in the attempt.
Well, we have a problem because the last place we know that Darrow might be is in a cave that we think is near where we got attacked by her. So unless you know a way to be nice to her so that she doesn't hurt us, and we don't hurt her, or whatever, we're gonna have to fight her again.
Even as you speak these words, the sky darkens, and you hear the beat of powerful wings. The pixies shriek and disappear into their tree,
Ugh.
leaving the three of you alone. Settling down upon the treetops, bending all of the trees off to the side, is an enormous green dragon, the same one that you did battle with. She still bears the marks of Throck's maul upon her face. And she leans down and looks at you guys and says, "If you would only listen. I only attacked to stop your flight."
Couldn't you have just
What about
talked to us?
and what about all the attacking on the ground?
Self-defense.
Self-defense. Look at you.
Your
Avin holds up the rabbit.
your rabbit was agitated.
Fair.
If you're so mighty, then you shouldn't even be worried about us, right? Why fight back?
When a mosquito bites your flesh, do you not slap at it?
I mean,
What's a mosquito?
yeah. But I don't think we're that weak. And he kind of like points at her.
Zaylin Akunra.
Wait, how do you
You-
know my name?
I can see it in the air.
What? You can see names in the air?
I am Au, last of the green dragons, oldest being of the Feywild. I alone remember the before, and I will tell you a thing that will stop your mouth talking.
Well, it better be pretty amazing because I want to talk some more right now.
Avin immediately sits down for story time.
The Akun energy that permeates your being will continue whether you live or not. I can kill you without consequence.
Go on.
Great events surround you, Akunra. and they will continue to surround those you have made into your allies and enemies. They will surround your fallen corpse when you are dead. You need not have any agency in the situation. That is the truth of your power. It isn't yours.
Then what's to stop me from just settling down and making a family?
The fact that they would likely all become mutants, or be killed by monsters, or burst into flames.
See, that's mean to call them mutants. I think they would be very good looking, in my opinion.
It is highly unlikely that anything normal will ever happen to you. It is beyond your control.
I don't know. I think it's within my control, really.
Look at your body, Archonia. The
Yeah.
world is owned by humans in this age. Do you think you are one of them? Do you think they will let you forget that you are not?
I don't know. Humans tend to fall in line if you have a lot of power, so I'm probably gonna go that route.
That is not my experience. One typically ends up having to murder the humans in order to get a peaceful night's sleep.
Well, maybe if you were nicer talking to them, they wouldn't pester you so much.
You amuse me, Archonia. But I come here not to bandy words, but to tell you what you need to know to save all creation before it is too late. It is no secret that my kind cares not for yours.
So I still have a chance to do something then, right? If you're telling me how to save it, right?
You may have an impact in the way that any mortal creature may. You are but another being that is near the vortex. You simply happen to be the nearest. Here is what you must know. You and your rabbit.
Rabbit noise.
Whatever that is. There goes Joshua. He's back.
Hey.
Deb here.
Okay. She says, "It is no secret that my kind cares not for yours, and that we have been enemies for many, many lifetimes of a dragon. And especially the god that your rabbit serves. Brutal is he to my kind. We have done battle for many, many eons. And yet in this we are united. We would prefer the world continue to exist. Most beings of power misunderstand. Only a dragon knows, and the very wisest of the gods. Asmodeus the traitor god miscalculated. He will never admit it, but by slaying his opposites, leading the war in the heavens against the gods of light, he unbalanced the universe. We will all vanish unless you can bring them back."
Bring who back?
The gods.
And how do you bring back a god?
Ha 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 ha. A dragon has the privilege of being like unto the gods, but dwelling amongst the mortals. It is because of this that only the dragons know the truth. You do not have to bring back the gods. They bring themselves back. It is but for mortals to empower them again. When a god is killed, sometimes a year, sometimes a century, sometimes a millennium, but eventually that god will be born again as a mortal. Stripped of their powers as they were stripped of their followers and their lives. They will not remember what they are. I can smell upon you that you have had dealings with them before.
Maybe.
I see a name. The name is Jack.
My baby.
That was the first name that came into my mind.
And what of Jack?
Jack is not what Jack appears to be. Born amongst mortals, but actually a god struggling to remember their power. Only with renewed worship from followers can these gods reclaim what is theirs. There is a secret that almost all here in the Feywild have forgotten. But I remember, for I alone amongst those who dwell here was alive at the time. The elves, 200 of the last elves from whom your friend is descended, took their lives in caves within that mountain. And before they went, they ensured the means to come back. Their god walks the earth as a mortal even now, waiting for worshippers to empower him. Every elf within that mountain was a cleric of the elven gods. If they can be restored, he will be restored, and it will be like the first domino falling. The risk is greater than you can imagine, but to not act ensures our destruction.
So what you're telling me is we need to give Dara a bunch of followers for him to awaken or something?
You understand nothing. You hear my words and they bounce off of you like a rock.
I mean, I got a couple words in, I think.
Listen, Archonia. The gnomes and the dryads were appointed guardians of the sleepers, the elves who took their own lives in hope of future resurrection. I have seen the dryads take your friend to the mountain. They clearly wish to see if he is what their prophecies foretell. But the gnomes are not aware that he is here. He cannot act without the blessing of both.
Okay.
You must bring the gnomes to the mountain.
I don't think they like us very much.
That is not my problem.
All right. I was bring the nose to the mountain. Anything else?
Yes. Tell those pixies to come back out. I am hungry.
I don't think they trust us that much, but if I do find some, I'll save them for you.
Akun Ra, serve your purpose, and then you come see me as well.
Yeah. Look nicer next time, though.
I am not concerned with your opinion of my appearance, Akun Ra. I am great and mighty, and you are but a mortal who is by accident important for the time.
Well, yeah. I'll see you later.
There is one more thing. I will say this not to you, Akun Ra, for you have become annoying to me. But to your rabbit keeper, I impart this further knowledge. The gods of good and light were not the only faction wiped from the cosmos by the traitor Asmodeus. Before he could wage his war upon the other gods, he was but the chief of the devils, beings of order and evil, whose charge was to protect the universe from the demons, infinite beings of chaos and terror. For the length of eons, the devils and demons fought the blood war. They kept each other in check. It all went wrong when the devils won. By attrition, the war was ended. The demons are no more. They were the embodiment of chaos. It is their destruction that caused the rise of the Akun. The Akun are now the embodiment of chaos. Excuse me.
You say R. Is there more than one?
Zalen is Akun Ra, Chaos Lord. But there are other, lesser Akun. They exist in the world.
This sounds incredibly annoying.
You have no idea.
I mean...
Do you know where the other ones are?
I do not. Many of them have been born and died over the eons, and I have stayed in the Feywild. But that is not why I speak of this. The demons represented the counterbalance to the devils in order, just as the other gods represented the counterbalance to the devils in good versus evil. If order and balance are to be restored, the demons must be brought back as well.
I don't know how the Queen would feel about this.
Ha 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 ha. I can send you to her to ask if you wish.
Or I could just ask Erie.
I see your little friend. She has trouble reaching you while you are here. It matters not what your queen thinks. Just as good balances evil, chaos balances order. If both are not restored, the universe remains unbalanced and spins out of control. Go on your way. Seek the gnomes, bring back the elves. I know not what you must do to revive the demons, but at least you can get started with the elves.
All right.
Okay.
Can you lead? You mind taking us to the cave?
I am not well suited to carrying live prey.
Well, you're huge, though.
Zalen Akun Ra. You ask me to carry you about as though I were your servant.
I mean, it was just a favor.
I will
You
kill
don't-
you if you ask again, and send you to the 9 hells where you can speak to Asmodeus directly. And then
Technically, you don't need to carry us. Just give us like a minute.
she is already flying away.
Nice talking to you.
Go to the hells.
Man.
Already there.
By the way, we should at least take like a short rest. Wait, you can't gain back spells from short rest, can you?
Your warlock
slots.
level can.
Yeah.
Only your warlock.
Yep. I cannot.
Well, I did get hit pretty bad. I'm gonna need a short rest from that last fight. So, think we can like take a break? Maybe get Throck back in here as Throck.
Sure.
All right.
Throck, you're Throck now.
Oh,
Throck.
hey. Oh.
So
I
what's
have
the hit?
naturally put you down first so that, you know.
Yeah, last time you were a frog,
Yeah.
she forgot to put you down first.
Yeah.
What's the hit? What's the hit dice for this current level?
Oh, I don't know.
Uh,
You're level 11, so you've got 10 sorcerer ones and 1 warlock one, but I don't know what the size of the dice is.
they should really have like a spot in here for that.
They do.
Yep. If you click
Do they?
short rest,
Yeah.
it'll tell you.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to roll the dice manually, but you can check off what dice you use.
1d6. Okay.
Cody chimed in with 1d8 and 10d6.
Yep. The
Thank
D8
you.
for your warlock level and the D6 is for your sorcerer levels. You can spend as many of them as you like during your short rest. Daro, incidentally, if you want to do that as well, you can short rest.
We haven't had a long rest since the last short rest, have we?
We have not had a long rest since the hut dropped.
Yeah, I don't recall you having a short rest since then either.
Yep.
You got out of the hut, went flying, fought a dragon, found some pixies, and now you're here.
Okay, cool. I'm just mathing how much Throck actually has left, because yeah, used a lot. The last short rest. So, but if we've had a long rest in between, then I've got half of them back. So okay,
Yeah.
cool.
By the way, guys, I, as I mentioned, have not updated Daro's little tag there yet, but he is level 6 now, not 5.
Rogue.
In Rogue. Still 5 Paladin, 6 Rogue. Maybe that will do it. Ah! Kind of.
All right. Got some life back.
I am not taking a short rest. I don't think I would short rest where I'm at.
Okay. I mean, you're at 1 hit point, and there's no.
I know.
There's no one here who's obviously an enemy.
True. Just seems weird to just sit down randomly in a temple and like rest, but
Okay.
yeah.
No.
You know, well, I mean, yeah, actually he does while he's talking to.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you've got time.
Yeah.
The door closed behind you when you came in, and your friends are pretty far away. So.
I don't know that.
No, you don't know that, but you do know the door closed behind you when you came in.
True. All right, I'll do a short rest.
All right. Let me know when the 3 of you are done short resting, and we can continue from there.
I'm done.
Okay. Daro, as you sit down against the center dais and close your eyes just for a moment, when you open them again, Douglas is gone.
No, Douglas, no. See, that's why I want to short rest. It's fine. Wait, it didn't calculate automatically? Ugh.
Math.
Yeah, I'm done. Some pretty low rolls.
All right.
But I think that I think I only had half of mine available to me, so that's what I did.
Okay. I'm not sure why you would only have half available. This is your first short rest since your long rest.
Because you restore half of what you spent.
Oh, you spent them
I mean,
yesterday.
Half of your. Yeah.
Okay.
Sick.
Spend them all.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm ready though.
All right. Alan, Carolyn, you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what are you going to do? You've short rested. You've got a little heals in you. The dragon's gone. The pixies haven't come back out.
Well, they said to bring the gnomes to the mountain.
You have a working
Right.
relationship with one of the gnomes, as it turns out. Remember Wilbur?
I don't know that I would call that a working relationship.
It's not a good one, but it is one.
How do we taunt Wilbur back out?
He's not here. You guys flew away and then went through a tree.
I guess we could fly back.
Yeah, let's just head back to the let's just head back to the cave, or near the cave location. They'll probably be near. They'll probably be around.
I could yell for 'em.
Wilbur.
All right.
Okay.
Let's just fly back.
All right, yeah, you guys can spend a minute turning back into cloud form and fly around. Thraka, are you still going to stay under the canopy?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay. Someone
This
call
is
him a coward
weird.
so he goes up.
Do what?
I said someone call him a coward so he goes up.
Right. Because until then, I'm searching for things to kill down here.
There you go. All right, so you guys, where are you heading to? The caves or the place you slept last night and saw Wilbur?
Kind of like in between. I want to see if I can see them in between there, because the place where we were when we slept was a little farther away from the cave.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You were kind of on the east I'm sorry, you were kind of on the west side of the island when you bedded down last night? You know this from your previous flight. You got a decent view of the whole layout. And you are now east and north of where you were, almost the other side of the island.
Completely not where we want to be at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the quickest point, or the quickest way between 2 points is straight line, so...
All right. So again, are you heading to the caves or to the place you slept? You said halfway between, right? Halfway between here and where you slept?
No, halfway between the cave and where we slept.
Okay. Where's that put you? All right. So as a matter of fact, why don't you guys roll me a perception check? Whoever has the highest perception.
Ooh, that's me. Just kidding.
And then roll with advantage on the assumption your friends are both helping you. Hey, Joker, welcome back. Who's got the highest perception? What are your? It's not Throck. What are your perception skills there, you two?
Mine's a +2.
+2?
Yep.
Is yours also +2?
No, well, I already rolled.
Oh, well, what is
Yeah,
yours?
so did I.
Well, who had the highest?
I got double 18s.
Okay, we'll call it that. Well, what's your modifier?
0 for perception.
Okay, what I said was the person with the highest perception should roll with advantage. So, Oven, what did your roll come out to?
17.
All right, good enough. You guys see the gnome hamlet down below you. What you see specifically is a collection of little huts with weird, like seemingly unnecessary attachments on them. Like there are chimneys made of that strange bronzy colored metal that the dryads were using for their weapons and shields. There are like wheels just spinning, gears on the sides of the house. One of them is a water wheel, which is in the river that runs through the middle of the hamlet. But there's just all kinds of weird stuff that you don't know what it is. Like there's noise coming from the place. It's noisy. It's like machine noise. There you see one place where there's just a piston going up and down for no reason. There's all kinds of smoke coming out of chimneys, and it's not all the same color. And there's a lot of little people like Wilbur here.
Well, I'm going to start heading down.
Okay. Now remember, it takes a full minute to turn back into physical form, and during that minute you are incapacitated.
Yes, I am absolutely going to be up in a tree.
Okay.
Like a smart person.
All right, so you're up in a tree, which puts you just a little bit outside of town because they've cleared all the trees. What about you two?
Rock?
Well, I'm following right by them. I didn't actually get the plan figured out. Just know to follow.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough. That's usually a decent tactic for you.
Yeah, it works.
Things that don't work when Ah follows Throck.
yeah, that usually doesn't turn out very well.
All right, so Throck, does that mean that you are also trying to reform yourself in a tree?
Yeah, probably like just after she starts, like, oh yeah, okay. Here we go. Same tree.
I'm gonna need a dex check, Throck.
Sweet. You got it.
You got it.
Okay, that's an 18.
Welcome, Trappy. 18. Okay, so the tree bends a little bit the other direction, very slowly as Throck gradually reforms on its largest branch, which somehow he was smart enough to choose. I think even a Throck understands by instinct which branches look big enough. So you did all right there.
Yeah, when I have to climb after something that just won't fight me on the ground.
Yeah. And Zaylin, what are you doing?
Zaylin just kind of so the mist just kind of falls right in the middle of the city or the little city, and he just materializes right there with his hands up in the air.
Okay, so over the course of 1 minute, a cry goes up from the various gnomes in the city. You hear them yell, "Intruder! Intruder!" And Wilbur actually comes running out of one of the houses. He has his shirt off. It looks like he was going to bed or something. And he comes running out of one of the houses and goes, "It is one of the Darklanders!" And they all come running out. There are spears and swords, little ones, and by the time you're reformed, you're surrounded by about a dozen of these little guys, and there's at least a dozen others back off away from you, like watching from windows or looking around buildings. The chief of them, the person who's apparently the chief, comes stomping up. He's got a big, massive crown with spinning gears on it. He walks up, he pulls out something you've never seen that you hold like this, like a little stick that bends in his hand and has some metal attachments on it and a tube on the end. And he points it right at your face and pulls back a little metal thing and waits for you to form.
Are we seeing all of this from the tree?
Yeah. I assume you were attempting to watch, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's not invisible.
Okay. I just wanted to know if we were close enough to be able to see it.
You are. I'll say you're about 60 yards away, so whatever that is, 120 feet away. But you can see that this is happening, yeah.
I am face
So as Zaylin materializes, he just yells out to all of them, "Ah, good, you're all here. I have good news. I know where your god is, so now you can just follow me to him."
Speak sense, Darklander, says the one with the crown and the weapon in your face.
Yeah. What, you don't understand what I'm saying? Is there another language you understand? You don't know this language?
We are the gnomes. We worship.
I can see that.
We worship research and invention.
Mm-hmm.
What god do you speak of?
For the elves, the final elf.
All the other gnomes look around at each other like, what? What's an elf? What are elves? What's going on? But the lead one does not. His eyes kind of narrow at you and says, "What do you know of them?"
I know that there's one that's alive, and he's the last one alive, and he's actually a good friend of mine. And I know exactly where he is. He's in this cave. You know those dryads? They took him there. And they're probably going to do something to him unless we go there right now.
What's going on over there, Matt?
He's cold.
Cold. Got a blanket.
It's just a very Undaro blanket.
I mean, Darrow's in his underwear.
I can get a
What do you
more
expect?
Darrow one.
That's a good point.
And Zaylin kind of
He's actually getting another one.
And Zaylin kind of after he's done saying that, he adds, "And if you don't believe me, you can see that the dragon, she actually told me all this. You see how she was flying around? We actually just finished talking to her. And you can even ask the pixies if you don't believe that story also."
You
Name drop.
Trappy's being absolutely hilarious in the chat, and it's really hard for me to keep a straight face right now.
Nice. Yeah.
All right.
like
Those of
that.
you
So
watching
Xanon
on
kinda-
YouTube, watch live so you can get this stuff.
So Xanon kind of like motions this way, and he's like, "Oh, and it should be this way. So if you just come with me."
Nobody moves. And one of them leans over and says, King Tychus, what do we do? The king speaks. He says, I don't know. Zaylin, do you have your wings manifested right now?
No.
Okay. It says, you look strange. But you
I mean, I
are
could say
a
the same
Darklander.
about them.
Do you say that out loud?
I mean, do they say that out loud?
Yeah. Yeah, he says you look strange.
I mean, well, to me, you look strange.
That is reasonable.
Look.
We gnomes pride ourselves
wait.
on
Look,
reason.
Look. I'm sure gnomes can sense a liar, right?
You know something.
You all probably have talked to a lot of people and a lot of creatures.
You
can
interrupt
probably
a
sense
lot
what's
for a
up.
man with a dozen weapons pointed at him.
And am I acting like a man who's scared of these weapons?
What on earth is that supposed to mean?
It means I trust that you will eventually see my reason and come with me.
You have not given us any reason, just wild stories about an elf
You don't
that
want to
you
see
know.
you don't want to see the final elf? He's right there. And if he's not there, you can kill me on the spot.
This is some pirate trick.
Pirate. Really? Do I look like a pirate?
Yes. Pirates are big, and they are Darklanders.
You know, a lot of people come through here who are probably not Darklanders.
You don't look exactly like a pirate, but you look more like a pirate than you do us.
If I was a pirate, would I really come here by myself?
You're definitely a tricky pirate.
Zen kind of folds his arm. Well, if you're done talking, we can hurry up and go see the elf.
At this point, what's that, Thruck?
Thruck turns. Do we? No.
No.
Okay.
Just gonna
Okay.
watch.
Okay. I'll be as quiet as I can.
Roll stealth. No, I'm
There
kidding.
are already 3 gnomes under the tree pointing spears up at you guys.
Oh.
As soon
I'm
as
kind
you
of like
started
making
talking.
a shooing motion, like go away, go away.
With my passive perception, I have no idea they're there.
No, none. But while that's happening, Zaylin, when you're looking at King Tychus, there is a little gem, a dark gem in the center of his crown that suddenly flares up with a bright green light. And you see him go, "Men, hold him here. I have to take this." And he walks. He puts his weapon away and walks back a few steps, twists a gear around front and says, "What? You dead? You dead? I think I have one of them here." "Well, he's not in your prison now." "All right, we're gonna bring him to you." "Yeah, the other 2 are in a tree." "Yeah, I don't know what they're doing up there." Everyone could see the tree bending. I don't know. Oh, no, listen. You don't understand this like you think you do. We'll be there soon. And he zips it back. Comes over and says, well, Queen Xanthelum of the Dryads just contacted me. She says she sent your friend into the Holy Sepulchre. If she did that, then she must have come on her own to the same conclusion that you have. She doesn't keep the knowledge of the old days as well as we gnomes do, but she is no fool. We must investigate.
Perfect.
So he turns to one of his little guys and says, bring up the stomp-a-majig! And the guy runs off, and two other guys go with him. And they run to the back of this house where one of these machines that you saw from the air is what you thought was attached to this house. But they jump in it, and you see that it has a large number of seats inside of a big disc-shaped brass or bronze contraption. They get in it, and one of them punches this huge button, and you hear a big sputtering sound. Flames burst out the side of it, and the thing rumbles up onto 8 jointed mechanical legs and starts stomping over to the middle of the city. They're guiding it with a series of levers that they're pulling. King Tychus gestures and says, well, get in. Are you getting in?
Sailing.
Where is this going to take us?
To the Holy Sepulchre. To your friend, I think.
Okay. He gets in.
All right. So this thing, they just start pulling levers and they're just running around. It's just so much work, like, to move this thing. You wonder why they bother, why they don't just walk. But it is going pretty fast. And they swing by the tree on their way out. And the 3 guys below gesture at you two with their spears to jump in. It's a good 10 feet off the ground, so you could probably just hop right in from where you are.
Oh, hey, Yep, are we?
I'm going to look at Throck, tell him to stand up, and then crawl between his legs and turn into a giant eagle.
Whoa. Whoa.
Dex save.
Okay.
With advantage, because she is trying to stop you from falling.
Here we go. It's a 15. So.
All right, you're all right.
Yeah.
You managed to grab some feathers. It hurts, by the way, Oven.
I'm sure it does.
And the gnomes look at you go, and they go, huh. I thought only dryads could do that. Hey, Laura. And so, with you two flying and the machine walking along, before long, you guys have traversed the distance to where you find a number of dryads standing in and just outside of a cave opening in the wall of the mountain. It's a different cave than the one you guys hid in before. But these are clearly the same group of dryads from whom you escaped last night.
Fantastic.
Eagle.
So the gnomes set down their little contraption. Its legs retract, and they all Well, King Tychus anyway hops out. They leave the engine running. What about Bird Lady and Ape Man? What are you guys doing?
Bird Lady is going to stay off the ground.
So you're gonna stay in a tree or land on the side of the mountain or what?
I'm just gonna kind of circle around,
Throck?
see what's going on.
I'm gonna circle around and see what my Urman eyes see.
They see enemies everywhere.
Enemies abound.
Yep. You're not sure if they're enemies right now, but
Yeah.
you know, everyone starts off that way. So, King Tychus comes stomping up with his little stubby legs and has some whispered words with Xanthelum, the queen of the Dryads who captured you. Zaylin, are you going with him?
Oh yeah,
All right.
I'm interested.
So Xanthelum looks down at him and says, "We sent him in last night. I don't know what's taking him so long, unless he simply can't get out." And Tychus shakes his head and says, "You Dryads, you remember all these big prophecies and promises, but you forget the important parts. Time works differently in there. For him, it may have been 100 years, or it may have been 5 minutes."
Did I know how to get out?
No?
Cool.
Um,
So it's a stone wall, right? That's keeping me trapped in there.
Yeah, you can go back down the very long hallway that you traverse to get where you are, but when you get to the beginning of that hallway, it's a wall.
All right. I do that,
Okay.
and I'm gonna start knocking on the wall in hopes that it opens or someone can hear me.
Outside where you are, Zaylin, some of the Dryads suddenly, further inside the little cave, near the back of it, suddenly go, "Quiet! There is a knocking. He's come back." Xanthelum and Tychus look at each other. Tychus says, "Well, if I am to judge, I must meet him." So, Xanthelum gives a little signal. A couple of the Dryads move in front of the wall, and they perform some weird hand-wavy motions that you can't quite see because they're kind of deliberately blocking it with their bodies. And the back part of the back wall of the cave that you're in just disappears. And behind it, there is Darrow with his hand raised, like he was just
And
knocking.
as soon as it opens, I'm like, good, finally, I could do this thing. All I need is something called a gnome or gnomes, and I demand that you release my friends and bring them to me, and I can do this thing.
And right then you notice that Zaylin's just standing right there. And there's
Hey,
all these
Darrow.
little people. Tychus turns to look at Xanthelum and says, "Why is it naked?" And we're
I'm
gonna
just gonna walk past
take
him.
our break on why is it naked.
Okay, that's
go.
a good spot. That's a good spot.
Yep. That's always a good line to stop on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 9:56 right now. We'll take 10 minutes and come back at 10:06. Damn it,
Yeah.
Trappy, stop being hilarious.
Trappy.
All right. We'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. We're going to be back quick. And we're back.
Hello.
Yay.
Welcome
much.
back. So, when last we left, why is it naked?
I completely ignore that statement and walk past everybody. And where are you guys all standing? Just kind of near each other?
I'm like right next to the gnomes.
Okay, so here's the layout. There's a cave that goes back a few yards into the mountainside. The back of that cave has just opened up to reveal like an ornate carved stone hallway that goes into the distance. Darrow's coming out of that hallway. The cave is filled with dryads. King Tychus, Xanthelum, and Zaylin are standing kind of in the middle of the cave. Not the opening of it, not the back of it, but in the middle. So they're easily in sight of you, Darrow. And this is the first time you have seen these short little creatures.
I will address the short creatures later. Yeah, I still walk past everybody and just, I guess Zaylin's the closest one, so I just give him a hug. Like, it feels like it's been weeks since I've seen you guys.
Darrow's naked.
I am fully...
Zaylin embraces him, and he's like, it feels like it's been weeks since I've seen you too. And
like 3 weeks.
Yeah. And he gives you like a pat on the back. Does Dara look any different to me after he come out of the cave?
No. But roll perception.
Okay. It's 16.
All right, you don't notice. But Throck and Oven, you're still circling.
Yep.
You have not seen Darrow. You can't see him because he's in the cave.
So what did you find in the cave, Dara?
Oh my gosh, so much. You guys can't even possibly comprehend. Like, I know how the gods work. I know where I came from. I know where they went or why they're not here anymore. I know, like, all this stuff. I feel like we need to catch up.
Oh man, I feel like I went through something similar. I had to like disounce my father, and I went towards this big light, and now I'm back to Zaylin. Feels good though.
What have you guys weren't captured this whole time or sneaking around camp?
We were, but then we got out. We fought. We killed one of the trees. I think you were there for that, right? We burnt the tree down.
You guys fought the tree twice. Darrow was there when you lost, but not when you killed it.
Yeah, we killed that tree that time. We fought this the second time.
Yeah, and by the way, Darrow, I think this kind of got glossed over, but Raylan and Zalios did merge into Zaylin while you were separated. So this is the first time that you've seen Zaylin in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I like the new look. Where's everyone else? Are they flying around somewhere or underground or some other weird thing?
They're flying around, I think. But but we also fought a dragon when you were in there, and the dragon told me that you're supposed to be destined for some big thing, like something to do with elves.
So the little guy with the crown points a finger at the Moonblade. Just, let me see that!
I hold it too high for him to reach. It's mine. See with your eyes, not with your hands.
He turns his head in the angle that the blade's at. He says, aid, ears, power, speech. You have activated the runes.
You can read this.
Yes. As a matter of fact, Darrow, you can too now.
Yep. I can as well.
Ah. Oh, cool.
He looks at you funny and says, well, what did your ears look like before?
What do Zalen's ears look like?
Yeah, Zelen's got like human ears, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Human.
like point to Zalen's ears.
You guys both have. Are you the same kind?
Nah, we're pretty
No.
different.
I noticed that your skin color is similar, but your eyes are very different. You've got the one,
Yes.
but then yours both match.
If you want to help out, if you want me to help out with the whole comparison thing, I can take off my clothes too, if you want.
No, that's okay.
Are you sure?
was actually-
like he's already like trying to take off.
No,
his
stop.
clothes.
Stop. One is enough.
No.
We're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, actually,
right.
now that there's creatures that are about, that height, I kind of feel a little bit awkward and probably should get dressed.
Where does anyone have any clothes for him? And the dryads clearly barely understand the concept of nudity. Like they're just like, what? Why does this matter? What's going on?
It is
Fabric.
Oven and Throcknir.
They're in the
Or-
sky, but they can't see Darrow, so they haven't come down yet.
All right, well, we'll worry about
like-
that later then. I turn to Xanthium.
Xanthelum. Although
Xanthelum.
it's totally fair that Darrow wouldn't remember that because you only heard it in combat.
Anyway, I turn to her and I'm like, I need one of these gnome things, or all of them. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I need your blessing, and I need a gnome's blessing.
She turns to the little guy and says, King Tychus, in my judgment, this creature would not have made it out of the Holy Sepulchre unless he were the prophesied Redeemer. What do you say? Tychus squints at you, Darrow. He says, I've never seen a prophesied Redeemer before, but I can say how it works. Only an elven soul could deactivate the force trap on the floor in the main chamber. Did you walk into that chamber?
I did.
And did the shimmer on the floor move out of the way of your foot?
Yes. And my shadow.
Your shadow.
Long story.
There is a flame on the center pedestal, is that correct?
That is correct.
How
And
did
it got
you
bigger when I knelt.
How did you know to kneel before it?
I was shown by, it's hard to explain, by myself. Here, let me show you. And I'm going to summon my shadow, and it's going to appear next to me as me. I don't know how it did it, but this showed me what to do, and I followed its footsteps over the trap and kneeling.
How long have you been able to do this?
Forever.
He reaches up to his crown and flips down like a little monocle thing that covers one eye and then the other one. And he squints at it and says, My word. And he
I'm
points
gonna
at
let the shadow walk towards him, so it's like right in front of him.
He points at the shadow and says, "You are an elf."
Told you. Zaylen
That's what I was
says, like out loud.
saying.
Alan, fix your camera.
Oh man.
Oh man. Stop being discolored, Alan.
The gnome turns towards you and says, "This explains so much."
Is this a normal elf trait? Do they normally have shadows that can also be their own thing?
An elven heritage is as much about spirit as it is about flesh. And at this point, he's barely talking to you. It sounds almost like he's thinking out loud. And he's just kind of pacing back and forth and rubbing his chin. And the other gnomes are like, yeah, he's right. But he says, an elven heritage is as much about spirit as it is about flesh. Asmodeus was able to destroy the elves because he possessed the ability to hunt them down by sniffing out their spirits. If it is possible that an elf in the Darklands could have survived these many generations, the only way that could have happened is if the elven spirit separated itself from the flesh. This shadow, as you call it, is your elven soul. It leaves you behind. Oh, there is such a thing as natural selection. Have you heard this term?
Never.
It refers to a creature's ability to survive when other creatures of its kind cannot. You, and possibly your family, your parents, your grandparents, survived because you were able to separate your elven souls from your body, thus throwing off Asmodeus's ability to track you as members of the elven race. This is most intriguing. But you see, these lenses, they allow me to see magical constructs and spiritual forms. You may not understand this, being a Darklander, but us gnomes make great study of sciences, and we understand how things work much better than those who do not spend their time learning. When I look at this creature, I can tell that it is an elf. Though I have never seen one before, we have books, we have records. I know what they look like. In the magical, ethereal plane. That is absolutely an elf. But you, while it stands over there, are not. When you...
So I'm not an elf unless the shadow is part of me?
Your physical heritage contains elf blood, no matter what. But the spiritual component that is elf, you see, elves come originally from here in the Feywild, and that spiritual component right now is standing over there. Your shadow looks at you and goes,
I'm following, sort of.
You see, at the dawn of time, as we reckon it, I imagine there was actually quite a bit of space between this and the dawn of time, but at the dawn of time...
Apparently more than 1 million years.
Oh, quite a bit more. 1 million years ago was when the deity war took place, but prior to that was the entire second age of the earth, and before that the first age. Near the beginning of the first age, the elves came from here, the Feywild. Many of them left and went to the Darklands where you come from. But because they were from this plane where things are of spirit, they had a different essence than those creatures that originated from the Darkland. Many generations of elves were born in the Darklands, and it did change them. But they always retained that Feywild essence within them. You are more than 1,000,000 years removed from the last pure-blood elf, but you still have it. And there it is.
So I have your blessing.
I don't know you, but I do know that you are elf. That thing is you, in a sense.
I don't feel like you need to know me for me to activate the revival mechanism.
Yes, well, there were safeguards in place, you see. The Dryads were one, we were another. I take it you read the book inside.
I did. Twice.
Among the gnomes, only the kings were given the knowledge. There are sacred books that only one in my position may read. I know how to activate the mechanisms inside that my ancestors created. The Dryads know what to watch for in a person. But it matters how things are in the outside. It's not enough that you are an elf. It must be safe to bring them back. Why do you want to bring them back?
Because it's where I came from.
You wish to know your heritage, your history.
The knowledge that they have, yeah.
But for 1,000,000 years, your history has been that of a normal Darklander. Is that not correct?
Mm-hmm.
He flips down one lens again. I see that. Radiation of pain. You do not know your Darklander history, do you?
Not all of it, no.
I see. Your elven blood offers you the only hope of knowing anything of your heritage. I understand why you would seek this place out. Xanthelum speaks up at this point and says, King Tychus, if you must know, he did not seek this place out. We brought him here. Perhaps he was seeking it when he came to the Feywild, but he didn't seem to know anything of it. We brought him here because of the blade and the ears and...
We came here because there was a calling.
They both look at you at that. And Xanthelum turns back to Tychus and says, we believe he was sent by a Broxiel.
Mm.
Only that creature could see a blade and some ears and assume. Plus, we smelled his decaying flesh on all of them.
I try to wash that off. I don't like it very much.
The way humans wash. Tychus shakes his head, grumbles under his breath. No one here has seen a human for 1,000,000 years, and we still talk about them.
You still technically haven't.
I know, look at you. He flips down the other lens and says, you have human parentage, though. Don't try to deny it.
As far as I know, yes.
Our books tell us that the humans are neither good nor evil entirely. They are what they are. But they're Darklanders through and through.
As an individual, yes, they can be good or bad.
As it is with gnomes, we are also of the Darklands, though we have spent 1,000,000 years living here. Our form, our spirit has been affected by our time here in the Feywild, but our ancestors originated there. That is true.
I'm gonna, while he's talking, I'm gonna like teleport into my shadow so that I'm now where the shadow used to be, like right in front of him.
All the dryads jump with startlement, and Tychus does not. He just turns and talks to you calmly as though nothing has happened. And he says,
How do we... Oh, go ahead.
He says, you are the only person in 1,000,000 years who has come here with the ability to revive the sleepers. It is difficult to simply tell you no. But why would we do it?
To bring back an extinct race. To bring back another god.
You know about that.
I do.
He flips down like a bunch of lenses that stack up into like binoculars. He squints at you and says, I see the hand of a deity upon you. This is rare. Certainly not an elven deity.
Nope.
Sounds
Arathis.
Xanthelum raises an eyebrow and says, you have a complicated life, don't you?
More than you know.
At this point, Tychus turns and says to some of his gnomes, will you bring the other two down here, please? And they run out of the cave, and two of them that are in the vehicle produce these giant like sticks, these metal tubes, and aim them up at the eagle that is circling with an ape man on its back. And they all fire these giant nets into the air, trying to bring you down.
Oh,
You could try asking. It'd probably come down.
Rude.
Tychus says, yeah, I didn't mean that. He comes stomping out. He says, Madam, if you would be so kind.
I screech once and then kind of land on the machine and flap my wings at the gnomes who shot at me.
Throck, what are you doing?
so they actually did shoot at us, right?
Yeah, but only with nets.
Yeah.
They're already running.
That's like, yeah, that's toy stuff.
Yeah. The giant
Just-
eagle was bad enough, but if you're gonna leap off the
Yeah.
back, they're running.
Just Throck actually does as it gets close enough to the ground, and by close enough I mean like 20 feet off the ground. Throck's gonna just drop off and 3-point land, and then right in the face of whoever he landed close to.
You have 30 dryad bows and spears and a half dozen gnome ones pointed at you while you are 3-point landing. But if you do not aggress further, they will not do anything.
Nah.
All right.
Lower your weapons. We are friends. These are my friends.
Tychus, are you still an eagle, Oven?
No, I'll change after I flap my wings.
Tychus squints.
Screech at them one more time.
Tychus squints at you, turns to Zanselum and says, "She's not one of yours, is she?" And there's just a silent shaking of the head. He looks back at you and says, "You seem like a dryad, but a lot grosser."
Rude.
Well, what with the skulls and the bloody weapons and the...
I would say edgier.
She's a
Interesting
skull
word.
princess.
What'd you say,
Yes,
Throck?
I'm a skull princess.
I said she's a skull princess.
Tychus
the-
stares at you, Throck, and then looks back at you, Oven, and starts flipping lenses down and goes, I don't see it. And then, he will address both of you and say, you two are friends to this elf-ish creature.
Oh, yes.
Perhaps you can tell me. These things have a way of happening when they're supposed to happen, but I cannot see why. Did the entity known as Abraxiel in fact send you here?
Oh, yeah, that one with the, yep,
Yeah.
yep,
He did.
yep.
But, like, technically?
Did we know that?
Wait. Yeah. Yeah,
You know
oops.
what? Roll a history check.
Oh, good. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I say yes or no. Actually, 14. That was actually a good roll.
Okay, I'm going to say, Thruck, you remember this because you liked her so much. Moira told you to come here, and
Moira,
Abraxiel shut her up
right.
immediately.
Yep.
Nah.
Okay. So back that up just a little bit.
Retcon.
Oh, we don't have to back
No.
it up. You can remember now.
No. But she did.
She did. You don't mean the dwarf.
Ooh ha ha.
A little bit like us, but thicker, a little taller.
Yeah, a lot stronger than you.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
He looks over at Xanthelum and says, I don't see any other way. We gotta call him.
You want me to yell for him?
Actually, yeah, why don't you do that?
Yeah, all right.
Go for it, Throck.
Okay. Oh, Brogsdale.
What?
He did. By the way, Throck didn't actually say that. It came out something like hey you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Hey, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, from right behind you, you hear, "What?"
Hey. There you go. They want to say something. I don't know.
Abraxia looks around. He sort of glides out from behind you, Throck. Just moves his dead eyes across the collection of beings that are gathered here. Turns to Zaylin and said, "Well, you really fucked this pig, didn't you?"
I mean, I wouldn't say that.
He takes a deep, long, exasperated sigh, which is obviously for show because he doesn't need to breathe. Turns to Darrow and says, "I guess you read the book then."
Yep. Why, you didn't want me to?
I suppose we don't have any choice left at this point. As he stands there, you see his head start jerking. No, not right now, no! And then after a moment, there's this sudden bulge in one eye, and Moira Smoothskin comes popping out of it. She's this big, and she grows to her full size before she hits the ground. She turns around to Abraxiel and says, "If it were up to you, no one would ever come here. What's the point of this place if no one ever comes?" She turns to you, Darrow, and says, "Listen, he knew it the first time he saw you, but he's so worried about his stupid brethren." Abraxiel says, "They're not stupid, that's the problem."
The way I see it, we need every able body in this fight that we can get. And if we can have another god on our side, that seems like a reason to revive some elves.
Abraxiel shakes his head and says, "A god with 200 worshippers is no match for Asmodeus, the king of the gods."
How many people worship him?
The entire nation of Zamar, for the most part. He is also the most widely worshipped god in most other nations that are not dedicated to another god. In Lethia, where you have been, in many other nations along the coast, they have national gods. Even in Argus, where we met last. But in every one of those nations, the second most worshipped entity is Asmodeus. He is the king of the gods for a reason.
So we just have to become can't talk. Evangelicals. Evangelists.
I suppose that as long as we are here in the Feywild, my brethren cannot read your minds, for they live only in the mortal plane. So I will tell you the secret, and I will wipe it from you again before you leave. Long ago, when the gods went to war, those of light were slain by those of darkness. But there are deities who choose neither side. In the war, not choosing a side was not allowed. Many of the neutral deities were slain trying to protest their innocence to Asmodeus and his allies. But 3 there were who survived. And these million years, those 3 neutral deities, those who understand the concept of balance, have plotted to save existence. In secret, where Asmodeus and Bane and Zeth and Grumsh and all of their friends could not observe. You have with you, and he points to Zalen, Akun Ra, the greatest Akun to have existed since the end of the Blood War. And because of this, he has gathered together the emissaries of those 3 deities. He points to each of you in turn. He says, Cord, chaotic, neutral god of storms. Raven Queen, true neutral goddess of death. Erathis, lawful neutral goddess of order and civilization. The 3 of you travel with the boy. You are the chosen people in the right place at the right time. Well, to be totally accurate, in the right place at the only time. The universe spins out of control. The end is upon us. If we do not reactivate the elves now, no one ever will. He turns to Tychus and says, King Tychus, the 845th, give this one your blessing. If you don't, we will all of us be gone in less than a month. When he says that last part, all of the gnomes and dryads just go wide-eyed and start whispering to each other about what the hell, what's he talking about? We're going to be gone in a month. And Moira rolls her eyes, turns to Oven actually and says, "Don't listen to old Squidface. He always guesses the worst. I keep telling him, you gotta have faith in what's right. You gotta believe." "A month," he says. "We'll still be here in 2, I promise you."
I don't know that he's ever steered us wrong before, though.
Well, he's smarter than most, but he doesn't really understand, the face of it. Yeah, he's an idiot, is what I'm telling you.
Wisdom not as high as intelligence.
There it is. That's what it is. Look at this one. What? This
I don't
one.
even know what I said.
This one here, he speaks with the voice of the gods. So at this point, Moira's
So
actually
we're all
going
in
to
agreement.
walk up to you, Daro, and say, "Listen, your people did something amazing and horrifying to give themselves the chance to come back. If only my own people had done the same. But they didn't. You tell this gnome bastard to do what he has to do, or he's gonna deal with me." She says this right in front of Tychus, so you don't need to repeat it.
I'm gonna turn to him anyway, and she said, "You better
Yeah.
do."
I heard her. Don't worry about it. Come on, let's go in. Xanthellum, you come. Xanthellum looks scandalized. She starts stammering. "I cannot enter the holy sepulchre." Tychus, "No. If any of you would learn to read, you are supposed to come in. You and me are supposed to go in with him. Come on. And I guess you can bring your friends. But gnomes, stay out here."
I'm gonna look at you guys and kind of gesture for you to come along.
All right.
Throg, hearing the slight objection of the dryad, goes like a little uncomfortably close and says, "You need me to carry you in?"
She looks at you like you're a slimy snail crawling on her dinner. And then
Oh, that was his best line.
Yeah, it was, but nah.
She can still be totally repulsed by it.
Yeah, she is more repulsed by you and everything you are than she is scared of what you said. So she is she's gonna tentatively lay her foot inside the hallway, and when she does not burst into flames, she will gain a little confidence and step in. Only after Tychus has already done it, though.
All right.
In honor of all the dead, as we walk, please keep some silence.
Tychus and Xanthellum both nod at that.
And
You hear wind chimes.
No, you don't, actually, because as Throck starts walking towards the hallway, Moira's going to stomp in front of you, shove you back, yank the wind chimes off, and toss them.
Okay.
She says,
it was
"You-
her. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Since it's you.
She's not going to follow you in, though.
All right.
Abraxiel, Moira, and all of the gnomes and dryads who are not the leaders are going to stay outside. So it's just you four, Xanthellum, and Tychus.
great. I'm gonna lead everybody up the path to the room.
Okay. So you guys walk for a long time. This is a long, winding hallway. It goes a little ways in before a sharp turn left, at which point it begins a slow, very wide spiral upwards. The spiral gets tighter as it goes up, and you realize that you are within the mountain at its edges, walking upwards as it's basically a cone shape. So all along, you are passing this highly polished stone etchings in the wall, depicting all of these different scenes of basically elven history, is your best guess. you excuse me, it takes you a very long time to get up because you're essentially walking around the whole mountain multiple times, but it does, it gets smaller as you go up. By the time you reach the top, hours later, it's pretty narrow to the point where you can only see a few yards before the hallway bends out of sight. But then it suddenly sharply turns to the right into this room. What you see in there is an octagonal room with mysterious, unreadable runes, unreadable to all but Darrow, carved into the wall. Thousands and thousands of words in these runes carved into all 8 walls of this octagonal chamber. At all of the corners of the chamber, there are these arches, supports carved out of stone, but looking like trees bending over the center of the chamber. Very detailed carvings. Would be indistinguishable from real trees if they weren't unpainted, just looking like stone color. In the center of the room, there are 3 daises that look exactly like tree stumps. On the center one is this shallow bowl with a flame in it that is burning bright white. On the left one is a book. On the right one is a strange contraption resembling the ones you saw in the gnome village. And behind them is this pillar, again carved to look like a tree trunk, but made of stone. Everything, just like the whole hallway up, is highly polished. Not a speck of dust or dirt in the place.
Is the room or is the floor sparkly, shiny?
No, that shimmer that you saw the first time you were here is gone. It is dispelled.
All right, good. So I'm gonna turn to everyone. All right, we could talk in this room.
Okay.
Oven's gonna wander over to the tree.
Below your feet are the tombs of the 200 dead elves. And
Whoa.
this book is where I learned everything. And this device is the object created that should be able to revive them all.
Tychus walks over to the device, looks at it and says, "This truly is amazing. You must understand, I am King Tychus, the 845th. It was the first Tychus who built this thing. No one has seen it in the time between. We only have books, records. This is beyond anything in the village. This is beyond anything I have ever seen."
Just don't touch it.
"Oh, I won't. That's for you to do. But please, put the last Moonblade in the slot."
Doesn't it, if I understood, doesn't it need my blood?
"No. As I understand it, you see, what you have in your hand already is the key, and the key simply won't work for anyone who does not have elven blood in their veins. Since you have activated it, you have the blood. So that was the third safeguard. You see, I was one, the Dryads were another, and the Moonblade itself was the third safeguard. You need that to do this. This keyhole was made for it."
Great. I was not looking forward to having to cut myself.
"Oh, we
And
helped you with that."
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. And I'm just going to go over to the keyhole and slide the sword back in.
Okay. Again, nothing happens. But then Tychus walks up and gestures for you to take your hand off the blade. He reaches up to his crown, grabs something from the end of one of the spikes on top, pulls it out, and sticks it in a tiny little hole that you've never noticed at the very end of the handle of the sword. The gem that is embedded at the end of the handle swings open, Tychus reaches in with his little finger that only a gnome finger could fit in there and presses a button, and the sword goes into the hole another inch, and then he grabs it and turns it like a key. The tree trunk that is carved of stone in the middle of the room, suddenly a big door appears on it. It like slides out a fraction of an inch and then swings open silently. And you see the moon blade sticking out the other side of the door. Tychus looks at you, Darrow, and says, "You can take that back now." And then turns
And I do.
and looks inside. Within the tree trunk is a completely wrapped up, mummified body.
Whoa.
This must be the one who wrote the book.
Yes. Felibri 23 Leaves. The last elf. What is your name? I never asked your name.
I am Darrow.
Well, Darrow.
Simply Darrow.
If it is your judgment that it's time, then please go to that pedestal. Pick up the spell storage sphere. Grab it by the outside ring, please. The red areas mark where you can hold it.
So that I can grab it with both hands, I'm going to hand my rapier to whoever's closest.
It's gonna be Throck.
Yep.
Throck. I'm gonna hand, since you hold the bags anyway.
Yeah, I carry the bags.
I'm gonna hand you my rapier up so I can grab this device.
Here's a fun fact. As soon as you hand your rapier to Throck, you lose the ability to read Elvish.
Woo.
You notice that immediately because it's on all the walls.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I
Throck,
don't think I need it for this.
you do not gain the ability to read Elvish.
Oh, that would have hurt my brain so hard.
But yeah, Darrow,
He just explodes.
you can pick up the sphere by the red parts on the outer ring, and you walk it back over. Tychus leans over to Xanthelum and says, "Queen Xanthelum, please place your hand upon his left shoulder." And then Tychus, he's trying to put his hand on your right shoulder and he can't reach. He turns to you, Throck, and says, "A little help."
Yeah, I was about to just do it.
So yeah, Throck, you can lift him up and he'll put a hand on Darrow's right shoulder, and then he turns to you, Darrow, and says, "Now you should be able to simply feel how to release the stored spell energy."
All right.
You can indeed feel the power coursing through it, and when both
I'm gonna close my eyes.
them touched you, that your sense of that power became clearer and more in focus, to the point where you just know how to let it loose. You are able to cast this very powerful spell.
All right. I'm gonna close my eyes and focus on the spell and inhale and then cast it.
Okay, so what the rest of you see as Darrow closes his eyes is this spinning concentric rings of this sphere that he's holding. They suddenly stop, and they're all lined up now, so that they're actually only in 2 dimensions instead of 3, around the side, leaving the central sphere of it unimpeded as a burst of white light comes out from it, and then a beam shoots forward into the corpse inside the stone pillar. And for a moment, nothing else happens. And then, all of a sudden, the mummy starts to move. Its head shakes, and it starts trying to get out of the wrappings.
Avin is immediately on guard.
Okay.
Do I have to stay focused on this thing as it's happening, or
The
is it
spell
like,
is
oh,
cast. It's gone.
Then I'm going to open my eyes and look at it, and
Tychus is at this point, he's already let go of you, and he's turned back to Throck. He's going, put me down, put me down.
Yeah, all right. Just let go.
He's running up to the mummy and saying, please, hold still. Everything's all right. Hold still a moment. He's got a little knife that he's taken out of his belt, and he's trying to cut her out of the bindings. If none of you guys are going to help, he'll just do it. And,
Hey, Dar, here.
yeah. Oh, did you give me back my rapier?
Yeah. Thought
Okay.
you might want that.
As soon as I get it back, I'm gonna hand the contraption over to the dryad lady. I keep wanting to say Xanthem.
Xanthoum. She will not take it.
Xantellum.
She is in a religious awe of this place.
Great. Then I'm gonna hand it to Throck.
Yeah, the dryad.
Yep.
Yeah, Throck can do what he wants. The dryads and the gnomes have kind of taken opposite paths in the past million years. The gnomes have the gnomes approach this as a matter of reason and science, while to the dryads it has become this holy place that they're terrified of. So, yeah, she won't take the thing.
Okay. And while the gnome is like sort of hacking or cutting out the lower half, since he's small, I'm gonna start working on the top half.
Okay. Within a short time, a minute or two, a woman with pointed ears is revealed beneath these wrappings. She is unlike anyone you have ever seen. She, even coming out of a million years of death with wrappings all around her head, her hair is perfect, her skin is flawless. She moves with an inhuman grace as she helps yank off the bindings. You see that she's wearing some ornate robes that somehow are unmarred by the passage of time.
I'm gonna look down at myself and realize that I'm still naked, and then like kind of hold my hands over, kind of cover up a little bit.
About time. She will extract herself from the bindings. Look around. Look at the gnome. And say, I have been brought back. Tychus just nods and she says, Where is your king? Where is Tychus?
This is Tychus, the 80 millionth or something.
845th, my lady. It has been long since you went to sleep. She straightens up and looks back and forth from Xantellum to Tychus and says, 845 generations of gnomes is 1,000,000 years in the common reckoning.
And I'm Darrow. I brought you back, and pleasure to meet you. And I put out a hand to shake hers.
Well, you just took that hand off your junk, so she's gonna.
I wasn't holding my junk. I was putting. Plus, I still have the other hand over it.
She'll politely shake your hand and then surreptitiously wipe her hand off on the robe. But she
I
would.
apologize for my appearance. Blame this one, and I point to Xantellum.
Ooh.
That's fair.
She turns her eyes upon Xantellum, who is a hair's breadth away from falling to her knees and groveling. And she says, "You are the queen of the Dryads?" And there's kind of a stammering, nodding reply. She says, "I am Felibri 23 Leaves, the last of the elves. Thank you for keeping watch these many years. Generations of your people." She looks at Tychus as well and says, "Thank you, King Tychus, the 845th. If I am back, does that mean that the traitor god Asmodeus is overthrown, that it is safe for my people to return?"
Not quite yet. We're working on that, but we're running out of time.
She looks around and she sees you, Throck, and "I do not recognize your people."
Following Dar's example, I am Throck. I am the strongest Urman. I carry the bags.
She turns to you, Darrow, and says, "Oh yeah," she'll shake your hand. It smells funny, but she's just going to let it be right now. I mean, she was a mummy a minute ago, so she's going to...
Oh, you don't wipe your hand after him, but you wipe it after me? Okay,
Oh,
I see how it is.
She's not wiping it because if she wipes that on her robe, it ruins her robe. She's kind of like she's kind of scraping it off on the edge of one of the stone pedestals. But she will look at you, Darrow, and say, "He carries your bags?"
Yes.
Then
And
get
hopefully-
dressed.
I was just gonna say that. Throck, give me something quick.
Oh, yeah,
Anything,
okay.
What do you got? Something to cover up?
Wait, just something? All right.
Something that I can wear to cover up.
I don't know if you can wear it or not. Yeah, I give you your stuff. I know. Yeah.
It's an axe,
Okay.
isn't it?
Pretty
Thanks.
much.
Thanks, Throck. I'm just gonna grab a robe real quick and throw it on, since that'll be the quickest.
Okay. Yeah,
All
you've
right.
got to hold this guy's kit full of
Yeah.
clothes, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got your stuff back. Felibri will stare at you, Darrow. Throck pulls out a kerchief. She will stare at you, Darrow, and say, "You have traits of my people, but otherwise you look as a changeling. Have you adopted these ears to emulate one of us so that you may bring me back? I don't think that would work, would it, Tychus?" He says, "No, my lady, he is elf in part, and I believe only the tiniest fraction of a droplet of his blood comes from your people, but I have reason to suspect he may be the very last." There's a lot of noise coming from somewhere.
Besides me.
Yeah. So Felibri will turn to you, Darrow, and say, "How is it that you lived? out of the sight of Asmodeus and his people? How was your bloodline spared the genocide?
I'm not entirely sure, but I do have another ability. Maybe, Philibri, you have this too. Maybe it's an elf trait, and I changed to look like I'll change my shape to look like Philibri.
Were your parents humans then?
I believe so.
Interesting. You see, in my time, we had a race called changelings. They were their own species, their own people. You, in the form you were in a moment ago, you resembled them, but not exactly. There was a certain character to their true features that you lack. You looked almost like a human changeling hybrid.
So human, changeling, elf hybrid.
It's been a million years. I really don't know what has happened, but if you're not aware of the changeling race, I would suspect that they are gone as my people were gone.
There's a few of us, but we're not accepted in this world.
I have missed much. Tell me, Tychus, Dryad Queen, why have I been brought back if it is not safe? What can we do? Xanthelum will say, I do not know, my lady. It was at Tychus's urging that we brought this one in.
I'm going to interrupt and say, to spread the word of your God and increase our strength against Asmodeus.
She looks at you and says, this makes no sense. When my people were millions, when we were in every land in Archonia, we were no match for Asmodeus.
Not alone.
Oh, we were not alone. She gestures to the names on the wall. All of Archonia was with us. In my time, at the end, things were falling apart, but you must understand, for a million years prior, all of the mortal plane was united under the Archons in the empire of Archonia. It was so ubiquitous that
you'll have more this time.
How?
We have the future queen of the Shadowfell. We have the king of the Ur. We have the Chaos Lord. And we will have to unite everyone else.
This is most distressing. The entirety of the empire was at our backs. And now we must unite disparate groups to fight?
That, or you can go back to sleep and just never wake up again when the world ends.
In about a month.
And yeah, roughly a month.
She looks down and says, there is a problem. Our energies, our magics as clerics of the Seldarine came from our various gods in the Elven pantheon. When the gods were destroyed, our power stopped being replenished. The spell which brought me back took every last bit of my remaining abilities. I have nothing left to restore my kindred.
So what was your plan originally?
It should have been so that we were not brought back until after Asmodeus had been defeated. At that point, we could have hoped that one of the Seldarine, one of our pantheon, had somehow escaped the destruction or returned. But I sense nothing. At this, Tychus is going to step forward and put a hand up on her elbow. My lady, gnomes have been safe from the genocide by hiding here in the Shadowfell, or in the Feywild. They have not found your mountain, but we hid right out in the open in our village, and they did not find us either. I believe there is hope. If you wish your power to return, you must pray. The gods draw their strength from worship. You are the only one who remembers your gods. You must get to it.
Meanwhile, we don't have a lot of time. So my friends and I will probably have to continue on.
Or, says Abraxiel from the back corner of the room that none of you saw him walk into,
Nice.
I have another option. If you guys really want the elves back, I can kind of bring them back. In a way. And you guys hear this hammering coming up the hallway, getting closer and closer until just a few moments later, Moira comes skidding into the room out of breath, and she points her finger at Abraxiel and says, "You knock it off, you squid-faced son of a bitch!"
I'm glad she said it because I was going to.
And
Alvin at this point is going to look over at Abraxiel and say, if it's anything like Ramakan, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Queen does not approve.
hey, Ramakan's a good guy.
Ramakan is not alive,
Well,
technically.
the elves don't so much need to be alive as they need to be able to worship their god.
The Queen does not approve.
Felibri, by the way, at the appearance of Abraxiel, has already fallen to her knees, her back to him, and begun praying under her breath very rapidly. Tychus will lean down to Felibri and say, You know this one then? She just nods. keep spraying.
Broxiel,
Darrow.
what is the limitations of your rebirth abilities, your reanimation abilities, and do undead actually contribute to the strength of a god when they pray?
Well, in order to explain that, I have to ask you a few prerequisite questions. Do you know anything about Mordenkainen's theory of cascading planes?
Nope.
Have you ever heard of the concept of folded reality?
Nope.
Does the balance of space and soul mean anything to you?
Nope.
Then sit in the corner.
So what you're saying is you can't revive everyone who has ever lived in order to completely strengthen the gods to a level that they've never experienced in all of history.
Well, that's correct.
No, then sit in the corner.
Moira goes, ha! And slaps you on the back like just too hard.
Can Throck? Yeah, I'm definitely calling for an insight check on the elf lady, just to see if there's to see if I can tell that there's any fear. Basically.
Okay. Yeah, there.
I mean, I don't know.
There is. You can smell it. You don't have to.
I was
gonna say you can smell it.
I don't know that I need to roll insight, but
yeah, you're like a pit bull. You can smell it.
So Throck will just look straight at her and say, if you were strong, you would be the storm for your god.
Well, she's largely ignoring you because she's on her knees praying. But as soon as you finish that sentence, you hear a voice from right over your shoulder saying, well, I don't know that that's totally true.
Is he the only one that hears the voice?
Nope. You all look, and there's Douglas.
Hi, Douglas.
Hi, Darrow. He's going to kneel down right in front of Felibri and just stay there. And you notice, as she continues to mutter her prayers under her breath, that he starts changing. His hair, which has been the grayish, thinning hair of an old man, starts to regain its color and grow back. The wrinkles around the corners of his eyes start to fade. And he looks at her and gives her a minute, and then he looks at her and says, I think I remember you.
Hmm.
And then he reaches out and touches her on the center of her chest, and she begins to glow. And then he looks over towards the three pedestals, stands up, walks to them, puts his hand on the one with the book and pushes it down, and it sinks into the floor. And he puts his hand on the next one and pushes it down, and it sinks into the floor. When the one in the center with the light on it goes into the floor, the flame expands. It's got no heat to it, but it expands until there is a strip of flame around the entire edge of the room, lighting the place. And then he pushes the third pedestal down. and it sinks into the floor. And the floor opens up, revealing a staircase down under where the 3 pedestals were. And he turns and looks at Felibri, who at this point has stopped muttering under her breath and is staring at him in shock. And he says, I think we can get this done now.
Shall we?
He starts going down the stairs.
What is that?
Tychus says, I think I have a pretty good idea. And then he follows Douglas down the stairs.
Well,
It
spit
is.
it out.
It is.
Oh, go ahead, Daro.
It's the crypt, basically. It is where the elves are resting.
I'm talking about the old man that changed.
Oh, it's Douglas.
You all met Douglas before.
Yeah.
No, I know, but that's not a person.
Abroxiel's going to walk up to you, and let out another dramatic-ass sigh, and then slap you in the head. And all of your memories from your time in Nimir's prophecy chamber in the Cloud Castle will come back. And you will now remember that you met Jack in his true form as Yandala, the chief goddess of the halflings. And that you saw Douglas there as well, along with Eerie, and that was when Radomir Utgast gained his physical form, and that they together told you everything. And then he will walk over to Throck and Daro and Zaylin and smack each of you in the head as well, so that you all remember everything as much as you reasonably would.
Yeah. And how hard is this smack? Is it like?
I mean, it feels like someone threw a bag of worms at your head.
Yeah. All right.
I imagine the smack was not necessary.
Abroxiel looks over at Moira and says, some things you just pick up through peer pressure.
It's a touch spell, isn't it? It's a touch spell.
I do turn to Ovid and I guess he's the reincarnation of the elven god.
I guess. Okay.
While you guys have been dinking around with Abroxiel here, Felibri, Tychus, and Xanthelum have gone down the steps after Douglas.
Oh, right. Do we need to?
Follow.
I also lean into Ovid. Don't worry, I wasn't actually gonna get him to revive the whole undead population and go against your whole queen and everything.
Thank you. That would have been a whole lot of extra unnecessary work for me.
Ovid, when you turn your head to answer Daro, you notice that Abroxiel's head has just appeared between the two of you, and he goes, "What are we talking about?"
Oh, gee, that's good.
Oh, I hate that guy. I walk down the stairs.
Well, screw you too, buddy.
I think he really likes you.
So you guys go down this spiral staircase.
Yep.
Everyone's just sort of plodding down a very long staircase, except Abroxiel, who's just floating down the middle of it. But
If I ever made a secret chamber, I would not have all of these really long corridors and trails and staircases between each room.
well, Felibri is still glowing, and after about 40 feet going downward. The walls on the sides of this spiral staircase stop, and there's now just a railing on the outside. The light from above, the flame that had encircled the room, has spread downward as well, and you enter a very well lit, very tall chamber, about 400 feet wide, in a circle, so 400-foot diameter, and every so often along the wall of this chamber there is an alcove with a mummy in it. Douglas will stop, look around, and just look very, very sad. But Felibri will stop at the first landing on the staircase, which has a catwalk spiraling out like the spoke of a wheel towards the side. She's going to walk right up to one of these mummies, close her eyes, and lay her hand upon it, and the glow that is on her body spreads down her arm, or moves down her arm and into this corpse. So she stops glowing, but this mummy comes to life just as she did upstairs, and she begins helping it out of its bandages. There's another elf in another set of ornate robes here. This is another woman. And the first thing she sees as her eyes are cleared is Douglas standing in front of her. In fact, he's going to reach out after she lays her eyes on him. He's going to reach out and start helping remove the wrappings.
I do not help this time.
Okay.
Because I'm just watching.
Well. Anyone else?
Nope, I'm still very
Nope.
skeptical about the whole coming back to life thing.
Moira is actually there with you, and she observes your discomfort. She says, "Listen, I felt the same way. I mean, look at this one. It's like living with a corpse all the time. And that Ramakan, I mean, he's a good kid, but he's kind of disgusting."
Dead?
Yeah. But it's all right. I mean, look at me, Moira. I'm as old as they are. I told old Squidface a long time ago, a couple million years ago, it's how old we are. I told him, I'll hang around as long as you can keep me alive. I'm not interested in being like you. Abraxiel starts to say something, and she's like, "Shut it!" I serve the god of light. We don't have any truck with this undead nonsense. But I can tell you, true resurrection is not the same thing. Look at that elf. Does she look like Ramakan? She look like a zombie or like this bastard here? She's
She
alive.
certainly smells better.
Well, that's a low bar.
True.
So
Owen's gonna turn to the elves and say, "Are you alive?
yes. Yes.
Insight check."
Okay.
20.
Yeah, they're alive.
All right.
So if you guys are not going to do anything else, this is what's going to happen. Just to
Okay.
fast forward a little bit here because we're near the end of the evening.
And yeah, I don't want to go through 200 of them.
Yeah, it's every time they unwrap one,
Yeah.
these two that are here, Felibri and this new elf woman, also begin praying, and you see Douglas gaining back some more of his strength, and he can now empower both of them. So then the two of them go and unwrap two more. So then there are four of them, and this continues exponentially increasing until very quickly there are 200 living elves in this chamber. And Douglas,
Very tightly packed in.
yeah, Douglas has ceased to be an old man entirely. He now looks like them, only more so. He is this gorgeous, immaculate specimen of a being with golden hair and sparkling eyes. And he looks around at all of them and says, I remember. I am Carolynn. And they, of course, they are all already on their knees.
Carolynn?
What?
Coralon.
Yeah, Carolynn.
How do you spell that?
I'll spell it later. He turns to you, Daro, and says, you were the last torchbearer of my children. He kind of floats over to you. He no longer needs to walk at all. He says, Daro,
Yeah.
ask a boon of me, and it is yours, if it is within my power. For you have resurrected my people. I'll give you a week to think on that.
Wow.
Excellent.
Wow.
Thank you, Your Highness. No, Your Excellency. Your Grace.
Carolynn is fine.
Carolynn.
All right. Anyone else want to do anything or say anything before we close out here?
No, I'm just in awe. That was
So-
great.
Tiny thing. I'll ask. I'll say, hey, looks like they're taking a really long time. You want me to help? I can pull off some rags there.
Moira's going to say, I have a better idea. And she's going to reach into a bag and pull out a huge chunk of mutton and hand it to you. Why don't you eat this? She'll whisper to Oven, he'll probably unwrap them before they're back and break their damn arms off.
Yeah. Ooh, ha, ha. And just starts eating. Yep.
Yeah. Oven, anything from you?
Nope.
I have something I want to do with Oven, but it's going to take longer than. So
Okay.
I'll save it for later.
Hope you don't forget.
I'll try not to.
Write it down.
Yep.
And Abraxiel will look at you, Zaylin, and say, why is it that every time my attention is drawn someplace, there you are?
Maybe.
A Kunra.
Oh, they told
Maybe
you
I'm
about
just
that,
pretty.
did they? Well, look what you've done, Akunra.
Hey, I'm just happy to be here.
All right, we'll close out there. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you to you guys for playing. We will return in a week. Hopefully, everyone will be here, and we will figure out what happens now.
Yep.
Yeah,
This is a good exposition episode for a lot of people to catch up on a lot of things too. Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. I know. At the beginning I pitched this to you as a world without elves, but we're level 11 now, and you guys have earned the truth. So
I'm still a non-elf though.
yeah, you are still a non-elf. We'll get to that. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Ciao.
Night.
Everybody.
Thank
Good stuff.
you.